So let's move on. Fourth one. I don't want to take too much more of your time. So the fourth thought is, I know what my spouse is thinking and why he or she did or said whatever they did or said. Okay. Now, this is a really dangerous thought.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. We do it all the time, though. We do it all the time, and I'll tell you why. It's part of how we as humans think. There are many biases we have in our perception of other people, and some of these they've just been documented time and time again. So one of them is we tend to assume information. In general, whether it be with our spouse or anybody else, we just tend to assume that we know more than we know. We also tend to assume the worst. So instead of thinking the best about people, in general, we as humans tend to assume the worst about people. So much so that when it comes to attributing behavior, which is what we're talking about here, so we look at other people and what they do, and we're going to attribute their behavior to one of two causes. Either internal causes, meaning something they have control over, or external causes, meaning something outside their control. So external causes would be circumstances, other people, things I can't control. Even if somebody believes in luck or bad luck, that could be considered an external situation. Internal would be my own discipline, character, personality, right? So let's say that, well, I'll give you an example because this just happened. Okay. My husband hung a thing, it was a cross that he had. He has three crosses, and he hung them on the wall in a particular place in our bedroom. They had been in a different place, and he moved them because he wanted to see them more prominently. And he asked me if it was going to be an issue for me, because a lot of times at night, I don't turn on the light and I run my hand along the wall. And so I kind of walked into the bathroom by where he'd hung them, and it was no issue. I didn't touch the wall there. So I was like, no, it's going to be fine. Well, then, of course, 2 days later, I'm walking in through the bedroom and I run my hand on the wall right where that bottom cross was and knock it off and it breaks. No. And yeah. And of course, I'm like, he asked me if this was going to be a problem. And I said no. And of course, it's a problem. So I pick the cross up, I go downstairs. The whole time I'm thinking, he's going to rub this in my face. He's going to say, I asked you if it was a problem and you said it was no problem. Why didn't you tell me it was going to be an issue? So I handed him the cross. I told him I knocked it off. And he responded to me and said something about asking me. And I immediately said, I knew that. I knew you were going to rub it in. I knew you were going to make a big deal out of it. And he said, honey, that's not what I'm doing at all. I just, I had hung it there only because I had asked you and you thought it would be fine. Clearly it wasn't. And that's okay. We'll hang it somewhere else. I can fix it. It's not a problem. And I immediately had to, and I'd already been working on this, masterclass. And so I was like, oh, there I go. I'm thinking the worst. Right.